That's why you gotta make one video out of like the training session sometimes or whatever we gotta do. Alright guys, the Winter Arc Revenge Tour has begun.
While the record speaks.
Love to see it on a Saturday. The good news is we already got our run done for the weekend, so we don't have to be out there in the rain. I don't mind going out in the rain for some of my runs, but I'm definitely not trying to do that today. About to go pick up some food right now for Megan and I. We're just getting the final preparations done on the house before Marley comes on. Well, before when Marley's projected to be born. Her due date is 7 days from now, so next Saturday, but we think she'll be a couple days late, so just going through the final things to get everything washed and clean and ready to go for when she comes straight home from the hospital. So that's one of the big focuses for the weekend before I go back to work. So just helping her out with that, getting the house ready and in order and all of that. So if you're in Tacoma, I've mentioned one of my favorite sandwich spots before, MSM Deli. We're not going there now because they got cold sandwiches and Megan can't have that right now. So we're going to get Peaks and Pines, other super awesome sandwich spot. So going to go pick up those now, bring them back to the house, and then get back to work. Let's get it. All right, we're back. These things absolutely smack. This is Megan's favorite. She gets every single time, the ham and pesto grinder. I don't think I've ever had it, maybe one time, but the one I've been rocking with as of late is the chicken bacon gorgonzola. That's not the best looking side. Normally I get the barbecue turkey blue cheese one, but that one has been smacking as of late. Last video you guys saw some mock-ups of some neck labels that we were going to get printed for URide for our upcoming apparel drop. Well, I just got some sample photos and videos in of those to approve them before we actually go into the mass production process, and we denied them. So I'm going to show you guys the differences between the sample ones that we were sent over and the initial graphics, and then the updated graphic that I sent over for final approval before mass production, so you guys can see kind of why we didn't end up going with those ones and the changes that we wanted to make in that process. So here's the URide logo that we have on all of our social pages and everything like that. It's the actual logo, as the rough edges and just these little black marks, if you can see them on the edge of the font. There we go, like right there above my finger, and then on the edge of the E, all those little specks we have as part of our actual graphic, but they didn't translate well on the actual woven label. So like you guys saw in the clip a second ago in the video, here is the photo version of the woven label, and it looks pretty good, but when you zoom in on it, those little specks just didn't translate well to the woven label, and I figured that would be the case going into it, but I just wanted to see, because it is part of our main logo, if we could get it to work, but it just didn't turn out. So here's the updated version of the logo. There's still certain elements that I decided to keep in, like you can see the little piece that sticks out of the R and then the bottom of the I. Those aren't the little specks, these are actual components of the logo, and the way that the font's written, and it ties with the Y up there and all throughout the design. So you can see on this top one the specs that I removed versus not, and it's going to clean up the logo a lot. So on the woven label, everything else I think looked really good, and we'll be ready to go. I was a little bit worried with the shape of our logo, how it would look in a rectangle woven neck label with the end-to-end stitch, but I think it looks pretty sick, so it'll turn out nice. And then as for what this is, I was telling you guys we were making a woven patch as well to go on the bottom of the shirt. Well, this is an inverted version of that. We flipped it to match the woven label, so it'll be a white background with black text and black graphic. But it's got the back of the shirt graphic for the Last Ride collection. And then we removed the text that was above on the graphic, if you guys have seen any of the sneak peeks of it, and then just added the name of it. One thing we're exploring right now, because this is just an initial draft mock-up, is adding some more mountain features, some trees, and maybe some skiers going underneath the chairlift and whatnot. And then I did a little touch right here to add our URide initial logo on the bottom of the skis to give it that extra polished look. If you guys are wondering what that app is, it's called Affinity Designer 2. I've used Affinity Designer, and now I'm on Affinity Designer 2, and you can get it with the license for basically all your devices that you would use for running your brand. It's sick because you don't have to pay the monthly fee for Premiere Pro or Adobe Illustrator or whatever software you want to use, and it's still a highly utilized software in the design industry. So it's pretty much virtually the same. If you know how to use Illustrator, you know how to use Affinity Designer, and it's nice because it's got cloud storage with the devices, so I can hop on my laptop, work on a project, instantly go to my iPad and work on the same one. So it's definitely super nice for that. As for product development for URide, the only things that we're waiting on now are the special hang tab concept designs that we're going to be launching with every product that we sell, that I talked about in the last video briefly, but didn't end up showing you guys a sneak peek. And then I'm currently sourcing and vetting fanny packs that we're going to be using as packaging that you've heard us talk about in the calls and stuff like that we've done with the team meetings. And so, like I mentioned in the lessons learned video where I was going over sampling and how to sample test your products from your suppliers, we're currently sourcing and vetting different suppliers to see which ones we want to work with and order from for our fanny packs. And so one of the big things that we're looking at right now is, number one, communication. How fast do they communicate? How well do they communicate? That is a huge priority for us, especially if we're trying to find a long-term partner. Number two is, do they offer favorable terms, and are they willing to work with small companies like ourselves and grow with us as a brand, like I've talked about. So specifically, one of these suppliers, of the 5 that I contacted, they responded to every single one of my questions in the exact same bulleted numbered format that I had sent them, and then even answered any other frequently asked questions that they get that I might not have asked. So that was super helpful to just go through all of that, and they were the first ones to respond right away. And they also have pretty nice terms in terms of minimum order quantities and pricing. And so for them, we're looking at around 500 units that we would have to order for custom fanny packs that are reversible and packable and everything like that. But their pricing is like half of what some of the other brands that we're looking at. And so it would be sweet to work with them, but we're still going to continue to test and vet the other people as well. That way we can have a primary plan, an alternate plan, a contingency plan, an emergency plan with different suppliers in case something happens, or there's a factory delay, or something fell through, and whatever it may be. We have different options that we can completely roll to right away. Someone just dropped a comment on one of my latest videos asking if we work with Alibaba manufacturers or where we source from. At the end of the lessons learned video, I talked about a bunch of different resources where you can find suppliers, whether it be on Alibaba or off the market. And if you guys are looking to find suppliers or different ways to do that, you can check out the end of the lessons learned 001 video that I go over sample testing. But specifically for these fanny packs, we currently are finding them on Alibaba, just because we already had a list of some links from a while ago on there. And I think while Alibaba gets a stigma for certain brands and industries. I think it's just about who you end up deciding to work with and knowing not to rush into things, sample test, and if you're not happy with the sample, don't accept it, don't negotiate your standards, maintain your standards and the quality that you're looking to produce with everything, and you'll be able to find some really awesome people to work with. And so whether it be with Elevate or whether it be with URide, we've shelved countless numbers of products because we didn't find the supplier that we're looking to produce with at the time. And so we put those products on the back burner until we can get them right with the right people. And then we'll go ahead and finalize those products and get them ready for launch. So that's one thing that we've been doing with like the Sentinel joggers. If you've been following me on Instagram and even the early videos on this channel, it was a activewear jogger that I was working to develop with 2 different suppliers and just couldn't get it right with either of them. And we had some other priorities for the brand at the time that we were working through that just made it where I shelved those products until we can get them ready to go and launch them now under the rebranded version of Elevate Train with Find a Line. So but yeah, like I was talking about a second ago with this supplier that we've been talking to that answered all of my questions and then some, and they responded right away and communicated extremely well and have awesome terms. That's an Alibaba partner that we're talking to. So while some channels may talk about down on Alibaba, or some Reddit feeds or whatever you're looking at, wherever you're getting your information, may say that it's not a great place to source from, I would counter that with saying you just don't know how to source and do it properly. And so but you can also find, like I talked about at the end of the lessons learned video, great partners off Alibaba, and you just have to be able to negotiate terms, get them to work with a smaller brand, and find interest in wanting to work with you and see the potential with your brand so they can grow with you and be open to doing lower minimum order quantities. Or like I mentioned, the comment that I'm referencing that I wanted to just expand on specifically was asking about clothing and whether to source on Alibaba and versus not, and if we do. And we do both for Elevate and with URide. We source on Alibaba and we source off market off of Alibaba. And so one really good option if you want to source from a super high quality manufacturer but you can't afford their MOQs or meet the volume for their MOQs is to buy the products blanks from their stock lot products, or they're just blanks that they already have currently for wholesale. And if you buy the product without them doing any customizations on the product, typically the MOQs are going to be significantly lower and the unit cost for the product is going to be significantly lower as well. So it allows you to gain access to Portuguese manufacturer or extremely high quality Chinese manufacturer or Vietnamese or wherever you're trying to source from. You can access companies that will produce at the level and standard that you're whole for yourself, but at terms you can actually afford. So if I wanted to source from a Portuguese manufacturer that has like 200 unit MOQs and each shirt is $30 for the unit cost, and so you'd end up 4xing that price if you're going to sell it to customers. That way you have room for retail or whatever, then you probably can't afford it when you're a brand new brand, and so you'd want to look in Asia and stuff like that. But a way to combat that is you could buy their blanks and then find a reputable print shop in the area that you work at, or literally buy a screen printing setup yourself or a direct to film, heat press, whatever it may be, however you want to do the finishings on your guys' products. And then print them that way so you can get the minimum order quantities, whether it's 30 units per size per color or it's 10 per size per color. You'll be able to access lower minimum order quantities, the unit cost will be cheaper, and then you're just paying for the finishings that get done at your local area. And you can get a sewing machine cheap from Walmart for a couple $100, and you can buy woven neck labels like we're getting on Alibaba right now. We're getting 1,000 woven neck labels, and they're literally like 5 cents per or 4 cents per, and for 1,000 neck labels, and then you just have to sew those into your shirts yourself, which is super easy to do. And you just got yourself a Portuguese manufacturer that will produce your products, and then you just do the screen print locally and sew on the neck labels, and it's going to be a little bit cheaper that way. Yes, you're still paying premium for working with a manufacturer from Portugal, but you at least are able to produce at the quality and standard that you want to and not have to pay for 200 unit or 100 unit minimum order quantities that you're not even selling 100 shirts in a month. So just things to think about, different ways to attack it, and find different suppliers to work with. So that is all I have for now.